Escapada noturna. O que a milionária vivenciou atrás da babá é chocante e alterou tudo.
As the moon hung like a silver coin in the velvety sky, darkness draped over the lavish mansion, a fortress of secrets, where luxury met the eerie unknown. Inside, Diana Carter, the city's most talked-about millionaire, found herself entwined in a web of intrigue that felt too surreal to grasp. Little did she know, the night ahead would shatter her perception of safety forever. It all began as she stealthily slipped out, leaving behind her sleeping children, their soft breaths a haunting lullaby against the backdrop of impending chaos. The grand double doors creaked as if protesting her departure. Diana's heart raced with exhilaration and a simmering fear, like a roller coaster teetering at its highest point before the plunge. She tiptoed past the ornate decor and polished marble floors, each whispering their own tales of untold wishes and hidden desires. The outside world called to her a siren's song laced with danger. And then the chill in the air sent shivers down her spine. It wasn't just the cold. It felt like fingers tracing the back of her neck, warning her of dark happenings just beyond her sight. Suddenly, the air thickened with tension. A shadow flitted past, a glimpse of something or someone. Diana's pulse quickened, her instincts roaring to life. What was lurking out there? Her mind was a cauldron of thoughts, each stirring the pot of fear. Was she truly ready to face whatever was concealed within the night? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Diana pulled herself back to reality, the thrill of the chase racing through her veins. With bated breath, she stepped onto the rugged path leading away from her estate. The trees loomed large, their branches resembling twisted fingers reaching for her. And then she heard a low, drawn-out moan echoing in the distance. It felt like the night was alive, shaking with the whispers of long-buried truths. What was that sound? Her heart felt like it was rattling against her ribcage, the lump in her throat tightening. She should have turned back, but something pulled her forward, an unexplainable curiosity mixed with her growing dread. As dread and urgency battled inside her, she pressed on, the moonlight guiding her until it illuminated a small figure crouched by the old well, an apparition shrouded in mystery. Who or what awaited her there, hidden behind the veil of shadows? The world flipped around her, and the answer flickered like a candle just out of reach. Would she dare to discover what lay beyond the chilling whispers of the night? The air crackled with anticipation. As Diana stood frozen, her breath hanging in the air like fog, fear paralyzed her senses. The figure by the well shifted, revealing more than just a glimpse. It was a woman. Her hair was tangled and her dress, to Diana's horror, looked tattered. It was someone in distress. But why here? Why now? Please help. The woman's voice was weak, a mere whisper that sliced through the night. It echoed the plea of someone lost in both spirit and circumstance. Diana felt a pang of empathy, mixed with a deep instinct to run. The hairs on the back of her neck prickled again. Yet, curiosity overpowered her instincts, and she cautiously approached. "Who are you?" Diana whispered, trying not to startle her. The woman raised her head, her eyes glinting like shards of shattered glass, filled with desperation and something else hinting at a story waiting to be uncovered. "I'm trapped," she gasped, looking around frantically, as if shadows might consume her whole. "You must listen, they're coming." A chill wrapped around Diana as those words sank in, crawling through her veins like ice. "Who's coming?" Diana pressed, her heart pounding a double beat of fear and the urgency of her motherly instincts. "Where are you trapped?" Suddenly the wind whipped through the trees, carrying an unsettling laugh, echoing, teasing. Diana instinctively looked back toward the mansion, its grandeur a facade against the thunderous secrets of the night. She could have turned back, wrapped herself in the warmth of her home, protected her children from the unknown, but something primal gripped her heart. She had to know. "They want secrets, they want revenge," the woman murmured, clutching her arms as if to ward off invisible hands. "You're in danger." Before she could finish, The sound of frantic footsteps broke the stillness. Diana's pulse leaped as she turned in the direction of the noise, her instincts screaming at her to flee. But curiosity held her like a tether, binding her to the unknown. The woman's eyes widened in terror. Run! They're close. Diana's heart raced in a frantic rhythm as she instinctively took a step back, glancing at the dark woods surrounding her. It was as if the trees themselves were alive, leaning in, watching. Please! The woman cried again, desperation spilling over into panic. You don't understand, but just as Diana began to grasp the situation, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, menacing, and cloaked. It raised a candle, its flickering light revealing a face twisted in anger, a face Diana recognized from society's elite, a face she had crossed in business deals. What are you doing here, Diana? The voice was smooth, cold as ice. You shouldn't have come. Diana backed away instinctively, but something compelled her to stay rooted. How did this person know her? And in the same breath, how had they found her? Leave her alone. The woman shrieked, pushing herself up, determined yet trembling. The figure laughed again, the kind of laughter that turned the stomach. Oh, she's not going anywhere, not until she knows the truth. Diana's thoughts reeled, choking on the implication. What truth? What had she stumbled into? What truth? Diana shouted, summoning courage even as fear threatened to consume her sanity. But the figure simply smiled, a sinister curl of the lips that hinted at dread and despair. You will find out soon enough, dear Diana. Just then the ground rumbled beneath her feet, and the world tilted, sending Diana tumbling into chaos as dark intentions collided around her. As she fought to regain her footing, she realized she was no longer simply a spectator in this unfolding nightmare. She was part of it, whether she wanted to be or not. What kind of truth awaited her? And would she survive the revelation? The night had only just begun its unfolding, and now the shadows were closing in. The ground shook violently as the looming figure raised the candle high, illuminating twisted branches overhead, casting long shadows that reached out like skeletal fingers. Diana struggled to comprehend the chaos unraveling before her. Get back! She shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of defiance and fear. The woman beside her staggered, her eyes darting from the figure to the encroaching darkness. The figure moved toward them, each step deliberate, echoing like a death knell in the heavy air. You think you're safe here? You have no idea how deep the betrayal runs, it sneered. The words laced with venom. Diana's chest tightened. Betrayal? What betrayal? Instinct kicked in. We need to go. She urged the woman, who remained frozen, paralyzed by fear. I can't leave. The woman cried, her voice cracking. I won't let them take me again. Diana glanced at the darkened woods, the chill of the night creeping into her bones. The shadows felt alive, circling like predators preparing to strike. Please tell me what's happening. They're coming for me and you're next, the woman warned, eyes wide with desperation. You don't understand, they'll take your family too. At that moment, the air thickened with a suffocating tension. The figure's laughter echoed again, chilling Diana to the bone. What a delightful twist this is. Trapped by the past, haunted by the future, it taunted, reveling in her confusion, and then from the depths of the forest, a low growl slithered through the night, a sound too primal and too close. We need to move now. Diana screamed as adrenaline surged through her veins. She grabbed the woman's arm, pulling her toward the path that led back to the mansion. Fear of the figure battled with a greater fear of the dark woods. But she knew there was no choice, she couldn't stay. They ran, branches clawing at their faces, the darkness eager to swallow them whole. Behind them, the figure's laughter morphed into furious shouts. You can't escape the truth. You can't escape what's coming. Diana pumped her legs, urgency fueling every step. Voices from the mansion beckoned, faint like distant stars. She could see their home looming ahead, a beacon that promised safety if only they could reach it. But the rustle of footsteps sounded behind them too close. A surge of horror rocketed through Diana as she turned her head back. From the shadows more figures emerged, cloaked in darkness, their intentions shrouded in mystery. No, no. The woman gasped, her legs giving way. Diana gripped her tightly, refusing to let fear overpower them. Get up. We have to go. Diana cried, adrenaline coursing, heart racing like a wild stallion. But a hand shot out, grabbing the woman's arm. Diana stumbled, jerking back as the figure's chilling smile surfaced again. You think you can save her? You have no idea what lies ahead. The words pierced through her, igniting a determined flame deep within. You're wrong. I'll do whatever it takes, she shouted defiantly, yanking the woman closer and sprinting toward the mansion, desperation driving her forward. Suddenly, a blinding light broke through the treetops, illuminating the path ahead. A car was approaching, wheels crunching on gravel, a life raft in the storm. Over there. Diana pointed, her heart pounding hope. But as they rushed toward it, the ground beneath them quaked again. Dread clawed at her intuition. Something sinister was still lurking in the shadows, waiting, watching. Would they reach safety in time? What awaited them beyond the flickering headlights? With every heartbeat, the tension grew. The truth yearned to be unveiled. Yet the danger loomed ever closer, waiting to strike as the night deepened. Diana stumbled toward the car, breathless, the noise of her heart drowning out everything else. The headlights beamed like a lifeline, yet panic gripped her as she glanced back at the dark figures advancing through the trees. Shadows danced menacingly, ready to envelop them in despair. Come on, Diana urged, yanking the woman forward. But the woman hesitated, torn between the fear of the threats behind her and the unknown that lay ahead. We can't just leave, she protested, her voice raw. They're coming for you, Diana shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. We have to move. The chilling laugh from the figure echoed behind her, seeping into her bones like icy water. Just as they reached the edge of the headlights, the ground heaved again, sending Diana spiraling forward. Her palms hit the cold gravel, and she felt the woman's grasp slip from her fingers, the bond forged in chaos severed. Adrenaline ignited within her, pushing her up again. Help! The woman screamed, her voice laced with terror. Diana whirled around, witnessing her fall into the dark embrace of the figures shrouded in shadows. No! It was a cry that echoed through the night like a battle horn. Diana took a step forward, unthinking. But something pulled her back, a force far more potent than the horror engulfing her. Foolish girl, the figure snickered, stepping into the light with ease, a devilish glint in its eye. Now your fate is sealed. Panic clawed at Diana's chest. She couldn't leave without her. Yet she couldn't face the figures alone either. She looked around frantically for help, but the car's driver remained oblivious, lights flickering as if teasing them with mock safety. Tears blurred her vision as muffled screams filled the air, haunting and distant. The woman's struggles only made the shadows grow bolder, more aggressive. Diana could feel everything inside her screaming to act. She refused to watch another soul be lost to darkness. Stop! She yelled, her voice growing strong with purpose. She took a deep breath, channeling every ounce of courage she possessed. You don't have to do this. There can still be a way out. The figure's expression shifted, momentarily intrigued, almost thoughtful. And what would you know about escape, little girl? You've always been trapped by your own choices, by your family's ties. Hope is a cruel illusion. As if in answer, a rumble of thunder cracked overhead, shaking the trees. The wind howled around her, swirling leaves, sending the shadows creeping backward for an instant. This was her chance. Just hold on. Diana screamed into the abyss, sprinting toward the shadows with newfound determination. As she reached for the woman, a hand clamped down hard upon her wrist. The figure had moved with blinding speed, yanking her back, dragging her closer to its haunting gaze. You think you can break free from fate? It hissed dangerously close, its breath bitter and cold. With every ounce of strength, Diana twisted in its grip, her heart pounding a thunderous rhythm. Panic surged. What if she was never meant to escape? What if she was destined to suffer? But before she could succumb to despair, a voice broke through the chaos, calling her name. Diana! The driver had finally noticed. The headlights pierced the dark once more, illuminating the path to the car. Run! She shouted, releasing a determined scream that shattered the gripping darkness around her. With an instinct sharp as any blade, she broke free from the figure, charging toward the car's open door. But just when she thought safety was within reach, shadows lunged forward, clawing at her heels, and Diana realized the worst was yet to come. As she collapsed into the car, slamming the door shut, the figure's laughter echoed through the night, a haunting promise of the chaos that chased them. With the engine roaring to life, they sped away. Yet terror loomed. overshadowing her fleeting relief. What had she unleashed? Was this truly the end? Or just the beginning of something far darker? Each heartbeat drummed the question deeper as the car propelled them forward into the night. And beneath it all, something sinister still lurked, ready to reveal the catastrophic truths that lay buried in Diana's past. Diana huddled in the back seat, panting, her eyes wide with terror. The driver, a man with a scruffy beard and tired eyes, didn't seem to grasp the gravity of what had just unfolded. His expression was a mix of confusion and concern, as if he had just awoken from a deep sleep. "Are you okay?" he asked, glancing through the rearview mirror. They took her." Diana gasped, unable to articulate the horror she had just witnessed. The man's brow furrowed, and he stepped on the gas, the car flying down the winding road. "Who took her? Are you talking about that lady?" "Yes. The shadows, they were everywhere." Diana's hands trembled as she remembered the cold grip of the figure. "We have to go back. We can't just leave her." He shook his head. "No way. We can't go back there. We have to get you to safety." Diana's heart sank. She had thought the car would save them, but now it felt like a cage. "You don't understand. They're coming for us. They'll hunt us down." Her voice cracked, raw with desperation. The driver shot her a wary look. "And how do you know that? You have to calm down or calm down," she shouted, panic bubbling up once more. Every word felt like a lifeline slipping away. "I saw what they can do." Suddenly, a series of chilling laughs echoed through the darkness outside. Diana froze, dread creeping up her spine. It was more than just wind, it was like they were taunting her. The driver's eyes widened as he glanced into the side mirror, his knuckles turning white as he gripped the steering wheel. What was that?" "I told you," Diana shrieked, pressing herself against the door, eyes wide, scanning the rear window for any sign of the approaching nightmarish figures. "They'll follow us." At that moment the headlights flickered, then dimmed, and the engine sputtered. The car jerked as it began to lose speed. No, the driver cursed, yanking the wheel as they veered toward the road's edge. "Stop. We have to keep going." Diana's voice pierced through the rising panic as they managed to slow to a halt. "Let me check under the hood," he said, unbuckling his seatbelt. "Stay here." Diana barely registered his words as she turned around, glancing out the back. Shadows had shifted again, moving closer in the glowing moonlight. "Get inside. Hurry," she yelled, her throat tightening with every syllable. But the driver had already opened the door, stepping outside into the cool air. "I'll be right back," he called, his voice steady, but that confidence only fueled her anxiety. "What are you doing?" she shouted angrily, slamming her fist against the seat. "We don't have time for this." With his back turned to her, he pulled open the hood, obscured by the faint glow of the dashboard lights. Diana's heart raced, each beat punctuated by the growing laughter that reverberated in her ears. Then in an instant darkness swallowed him whole. "David!" she screamed, shoving the door open. She stumbled out, casting frantic glances between the hood and the road, but he was gone, vanished into the nothingness. No. Panic surged as she hugged herself against the chill, the taunting laughter only growing louder. Suddenly a cold wind enveloped her, a sharp breath of air that felt alive, whispering dreadful secrets. As she backed away, her mind raced. Was it her fault? Had she unleashed something so vile it would consume them both? A flicker of movement caught her eye, and her heart dropped. There in the trees, shadows shifted eagerly. They were closing in, relentless, and she could feel their hunger reaching out. "David!" she shouted one last time. But the night answered in cold silence. And then, just when she thought all hope was lost, a figure emerged from the woods, not the wicked shades that had haunted her, but another person, a man wearing a jacket stained with dirt, his eyes wide and wild. "Diana!" he called, his voice urgent. "Get back to the car. We need to move now." Every instinct told her to trust him, but as she turned, heart in her throat, she realized that just maybe everything was about to get even worse. What secrets had the shadows woven in pursuit of her? And who was this stranger racing against the dark? The final echoes of laughter pierced the stillness. Only time would tell whose fate was worse, locked in an uncertain escape, or consumed by the indifference of shadows. Diana hesitated for a moment, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. The shadows loomed behind her, flickering as the laughter faded. Would this man be her salvation or another link in the chain of despair? His frantic urgency called to her, cutting through the gripping fear. Go. Now. He shouted, stepping closer, eyes darting anxiously toward the trees. She could see the wild, untamed look in his gaze, a mix of terror and fierce determination. Something primal awakened within her. She felt a faint flicker of hope. Who are you? She demanded, her voice shaky yet defiant. Not important. He snapped, grabbing her wrist and pulling her toward the car. We don't have time. Trust me if you want to live. He practically dragged her back, feet stumbling over rocks and roots as the shadows whispered and writhed nearby. With every ounce of strength, Diana ran beside him. The car loomed closer, but her breath came in sharp bursts, the icy air cutting into her lungs. She couldn't shake the image of David, disappearing into the void like he was swallowed by the earth itself. Whereas the driver? The stranger asked, panic lacing his voice. He just disappeared. She shouted, tugging her hand free as they reached the car, her mind whirling with the memories of those terrifying moments. Get in, he ordered, reaching the door first and shoving it open. We need to get out of here before they come back. The engine still sputtered, dead silence hovering in the air like a countdown. Diana hesitated, glancing into the darkness. But we can't leave him. Do you want to end up like him? His eyes were fierce now, a flash of something bright flickering amidst the shadow. We can't save him, and if we stay here they'll take you too. Get in. The urgency in his voice cut through the fog of fear. With a final, anguished look toward the woods, she climbed into the passenger seat. He scrambled in beside her, slamming the door. Panic surged through her as she fumbled with the seat belt. Start it. Please. She urged, her voice a desperate whisper. The man turned the key. The engine sputtered again before roaring to life. Her heart leaped as they lurched forward, tires screeching against the gravel. Don't look back. He shouted, his focus straight ahead. But Diana's gaze still flickered toward the trees, dreading what might emerge. She swallowed hard, fear squeezing her throat. The dark shapes loomed closer, darting like phantoms, their laughter now a cacophony ringing in her ears. What are they? She managed to breathe out, heart racing faster than the car. Something that shouldn't exist, he replied sharply. They thrive on fear and despair. If they touch you, he cut himself off, his eyes filled with dread. Suddenly, the laughter intensified, almost resonating with the pounding of her heart. Diana felt her skin prickling as the shadows danced just outside the car, almost mocking her desperate bid for a miracle. Don't you dare slow down, she yelled, fear lacing her voice. They'll catch us. I know. He gritted his teeth, pushing the accelerator to the floor. The road narrowed ahead, swallowed by a thicket. We just have to make it to the old bridge ahead. It's the only chance we have. Diana's breath caught at the thought of the bridge, a place where her childhood memories danced alongside nightmares. Is it safe? She asked, dread creeping in. Nothing is safe. He growled, eyes fixed on the road as their speed increased, shadows swirling closer in the rearview mirror. But it's our best shot. As they barreled toward the bridge, the lights began to flicker again. Shadows bounced off the sides of the car, howling a chorus of their unearthly hunger. Diana felt a tremor crawl up her spine. Faster! She screamed, the night air thick with tension, the unknown looming ahead like it held all their secrets. And just when she thought they might escape, a blood-curdling scream erupted behind them, echoing through the trees, freezing her heart. She gasped, a new wave of panic crashing over her. What was that? The man turned to her, eyes wide. They're onto us. Hold on. The bridge loomed ahead, dark and sinister, but ahead lay a looming promise of escape. Would they make it through before the shadows caught up? As they sped forth, it became clear. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a race against the eternal darkness that wanted to consume them. With a final deafening scream resonating behind them, the shadows surged forward, and Diana felt hope slip through her fingers. Yet again, the bridge was their last chance. But what awaited them on the other side? Would it be salvation or the ultimate trap? The car hurtled toward the bridge, tires screeching as if they too were screaming for release from the impending doom. Watch out! Diana gasped as a low-hanging branch swung into view, a shadowy figure dancing at the edge of her vision. The stranger yanked the wheel sharply, narrowly avoiding the bramble. It's south, not just the road they LL come for. Just drive. She shouted, panic mixing with desperation. She could see the bridge now, threads of hope tangled with fear. Would it hold against the chaos behind them? The structure stretched before them, worn but sturdy, creaking as if offering a warning. With every heartbeat, the shadows multiplied, swirling together like a dark tide ready to crash over them. Diana could practically feel their cold fingers reaching for her skin. Go, 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 she urged, her voice rising with urgency. The bridge felt like a net between two unpredictable worlds, one of safety and one of darkness. The moment they crossed it, everything would change. As they approached the bridge, the man's grip tightened on the wheel. Do you hear that? Diana strained to listen. The laughter had morphed into a series of distorted whispers, slithering through the air, taunting them. It felt like the voices of the lost, the shadow's victims beckoning her back into the abyss. It's coming, she whimpered, a frigid chill gripping her spine. Just hold on, he shouted, voice shaking with tension as he pressed harder on the accelerator. The engine roared and the car lunged forward, bouncing over the uneven planks of the bridge. Each bump jolted her, a reminder of the danger lurking just beyond the metal railings. She risked a glance in the rearview mirror and her breath caught in her throat. The shadows had transformed writhing bodies now spilled onto the road, eyes glinting with a predatory hunger. Faster! Diana yelled, clenching the seat. Would they make it? The edge of the bridge seemed to draw near like the maw of a beast, promising a chasm of uncertainty. Almost there, he replied, sweat beading on his forehead. As they neared the middle of the bridge, the car hit a pothole, sending her sprawling against the door. The bridge echoed with the sound of creaking wood beneath them. Then a sudden impact. What was that? Diana shouted as the car shuddered violently, rattled by an unseen force. Something's trying to pull us back, he shouted, eyes wide in horror. He fought to keep the car on course, but it began veering dangerously close to the edge of the bridge. Get us out of here, she screamed, her heart racing. Panic and dread twisted in her stomach like a fist. The laughter surged again, louder this time, all around them. It was as if the very shadows were clawing at the car, trying to drag them into the void. The man's face contorted with determination as he wrestled with the steering wheel. Hold on. With a desperate lurch, he gunned the engine, and the car shot forward, tearing across the bridge. Just as they reached the brink, the car lurched again, this time nearly lifting off the ground. Diana squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for impact, praying they would make it across. With one last deafening thud, they shot out the other side of the bridge, pain and adrenaline flooding her senses. They were on solid ground, but their brief moment of relief was shattered as shadows spilled onto the road behind them, swarming like a dark wave. They had escaped the bridge. But at what cost? Keep going, she urged, tension bleeding into her voice. We can't stop. As they raced down the road, shadows flickered in the rearview mirror, never far behind. But their next destination wasn't clear. With fear clenching her heart, she realized this was only just the beginning. What awaited them now, on this endless road into the unknown? Would they find allies or fall into the depths of darkness? Ahead, the night lay thick with uncertainty. The asphalt blurred beneath them, a dark ribbon stretching into an unending night. The shadows chased relentlessly, their whispers morphing into a frenzied chorus that echoed in Diana's mind. Are they getting closer? She stuttered, clinging to the edge of her seat. Just keep your eyes ahead, he barked, but the tremble in his voice betrayed his fear. She could see it too. The darkness shifted, transformed into a monstrous entity that stretched and morphed, closer with every passing moment. Flashes of headlights up ahead splintered through the darkness, cutting through her anxiety. Look, there's a gas station, she cried, pointing with urgency. He glanced at her, barely hesitating. You sure? It's better than this. She swallowed, her throat dry. They're coming for us. The stranger nodded, shifting gears as he veered sharply into the gravel parking lot. Tires crunched beneath them, and the sound felt oddly grounding amidst the chaos. He slammed the car into park before jumping out. Stay put, he commanded. What? Diana choked. You can't leave me here. Her chest tightened as he sprinted toward the dimly lit building. A moment ticked by, and she felt the air grow thick. The shadows, now hovering at the edges of the parking lot like angry phantoms, hissed and writhed. They seemed to sense her fear, growing bolder in the dark. "Come on," she muttered to herself, gripping the door handle. The stranger burst back, his hands gripping a flashlight. "We need supplies and we can't waste time. Did you find anyone?" He shook his head, tossing her the flashlight. "No one here. It's like a ghost town." Just then a low growl echoed from the shadows. The noise sent an icy dagger of dread through her veins. "Get in." He dove into the driver's seat, and she scrambled frantically after him. As she buckled her seatbelt, darkness swirled around the car, sweeping closer, almost like it wanted to swallow them whole. Before she could utter a word, the growl morphed into a cacophony of screams. Her heart pounded in her ears as the shadows swelled like raging beasts, inching nearer. "Go! Go!" she screamed. With grit and terror etched on his face, he revved the engine, lurching into reverse and slamming the gear forward. The car tore out of the lot just as the first shadows lunged for them, claws swiping at the car's rear bumper. "Did you see that?" Diana gasped, her voice wavering. They were right there. The stranger's grip on the wheel was white-knuckled. "I know. We need to put some distance between us and them." Each turn felt like a heartbeat, the road ahead twisting and turning, but the feeling of escaping seemed short-lived. The path narrowed, flanked by looming trees that seemed to sway in a mocking rhythm, as if sharing in the night's dark thrill. "Where are we going?" Diana asked, the panic creeping back into her voice. "Anywhere but here," he answered resolutely. However, that one statement hung in the air. What if this isn't just a chase? What if they're looking for something or someone? He cast her a sideways glance, uncharacteristically silent as disbelief crossed his features. Her chest constricted. What did he know that he wasn't sharing? Suddenly, the headlights caught something on the side of the road, a figure standing still, its features obscured by shadows. "Stop!" Diana shouted, breath pinching her voice. "I can't." But Diana couldn't take her eyes off it. Something about the figure mesmerized her, its aura, distorted yet familiar. "There's someone there." "Diana," I said no. But she was already unbuckling her seatbelt, trembling with a mix of dread and curiosity. "What are you doing?" he cried, panic creeping into his tone. Ignoring his protests, Diana pushed the door open, the cool night wrapping around her like a shroud. What was it? A way out? A warning? As she stepped toward the figure, the shadows pulsed with life at her back. Would she step into the light or the darkness? The tension crackled in the air as she took her first steps toward the unknown. What awaited her, friend or foe? And would the darkness take her before she found out? The figure stood rigid, a silhouette against the backdrop of encroaching darkness. Diana's heart raced, a wild drum echoing in her chest. Was this a savior? Or merely a trap cloaked in shadows? "Diana! Come back!" the stranger yelled, desperation lacing his voice. But her feet felt glued to the ground, drawn in by an unseen force as she stepped closer. The figure began to morph, shifting and flickering like a broken television screen. Her breath caught in her throat, as dread coiled around her stomach. Who are you?" she called out, her voice trembling. The figure tilted its head, revealing a flash of pale skin that glimmered in the moonlight, an unsettling contrast to the darkness surrounding it. "Help me," it rasped, a croaky whisper barely audible above the shattering silence. Diana's heart dropped. She could see fear raw and agonizing in those shadowy features. "What do you need?" Before the thing could respond, the darkness behind her surged forward with a guttural growl, silencing her thoughts. Panic surged. The stranger's frantic cries were lost in the cacophony of screams and howls that echoed around them. "Diana!" he shouted again, his voice desperate. "Get back to the car now." The urge to flee bloomed in her chest, but something deep within her anchored her. "I can't just leave," she cried out. "It needs help." "To hell with that. You don't understand." Diana was caught between two desperate worlds. The figure before her shimmered, the shadows writhing like snakes, reaching for her, while the stranger's silhouette stood stark against the car's half-lit interior, a beacon of chaotic safety. "What don't I understand?" she shouted, the words tumbling out between quickened breaths. The figure leaned closer, its eyes reflecting the faint light with a glimmer of hope mixed with fear. "They seek what you hide. They know." "Diana, don't listen. It's lying." The stranger's voice was edged in panic. The air thickened, the shadows pulsating as if tasting her fear. "What do you mean?" she asked, stepping closer. Her hand outstretched towards the figure centered in the darkness. "They will take it," it whispered, a shivering note of urgency. "You must protect it." The breath fled from Diana's lungs as a realization crashed into her like a tidal wave. Protect what? But the figure only pointed a finger into the midnight haze behind her. Suddenly, a visceral scream punctured the air. A chilling sound that froze her blood. Without thinking, Diana whipped around just in time to see another shadow dart from the depths, a horrific creature. Its claws outstretched, hot breath echoing like thunder. In an instant she turned back, but the figure had vanished, as if it had never been there. Panic clawed at her heart. What was that? She screamed. "No time." The stranger's voice broke through her shock. "Run." Diana bolted back towards the car, pumping her legs as the growl of the creature rumbled behind her like a storm. It was closer, too close. The stranger flung open the door, his face pale but determined. "Get in now." She crashed into the seat, tossing the flashlight onto the dashboard as the car roared to life. The beast was just inches away, swiping its claws at the metal as she slammed the door shut. "Go! Go!" Diana screamed, every muscle in her body tense with an electric mix of fear and adrenaline. He threw the transmission into gear, tires screeching against the gravel. The shadows chased them relentlessly as they tore down the winding road. Chunks of darkness lunged in and out of sight, withholding any sense of safety as an ominous weight settled in the air. "What did it mean?" she gasped, desperately looking at him. "What do they want from me?" His eyes darted back to hers, filled with tension. "It's not over. They're coming, but we might not survive this night." As a shiver ran up her spine, she turned to the rearview mirror. The darkness loomed like a black tide, relentless and insatiable. What had she triggered? And what lay ahead in the unforgiving night? The answers danced just out of reach, mocking her. Would she find them before the shadows consumed them? Both? The road twisted into the murky night, shadows swirling around them like predators closing in on their prey. Diana gripped her seat, heart pounding, breaths quick and shallow. "What do we do?" she whispered, voicing the dread that tightened around her throat. The stranger's face was set with grim determination as he focused on the treacherous path ahead. "First, we need to get away from the woods. They thrive in shadows. If we can reach the opening ahead, we might have a shot." His trust in the unknown ignited a flicker of hope in her gut. But the reminder of the figure's haunting words loomed ever present. "They seek what you hide. Do you think they'll stop?" Diana asked, peering through the rear window. Nightmares danced in her periphery. The darkness felt alive, pulsating with sights unseen. "Not until they have it," he replied tersely, gripping the steering wheel as they raced down the road. The engine roared like a wild beast, echoing their flight. They rounded a bend, and a slice of moonlight broke through the trees, revealing an open stretch ahead. Just as they reached it, a bellowing roar pierced the silence, echoing through the night, a warning that sent chills deep into her marrow. The shadows surged forward, morphing into figures driven by insatiable hunger. "Faster!" Diana screamed, heart leaping into her throat. They shot forward, the headlights cutting through the complete blackness, but each turn felt like a dead end, tightening the noose of panic around her. Something flashed in front of them, a figure standing still mere feet away. "Look out!" the stranger shouted, swerving sharply to the left. The car skidded, wheels screeching against the pavement. "Who was that?" "I don't know. Just keep moving." He glanced in the rearview mirror, the advancing shadows just behind them, like a dark inferno swallowing the roads ahead. The tree line fell away, giving way to a clearing. They burst out into the open, surrounded by the deep, dark blanket of the sky. Relief was fleeting as she turned back towards the horror that pursued them. Shadows stretched across the ground, merging and warping like toothy, ravenous beasts. Panic clawed at her throat. What do they want? Whatever it is, we can't let them take you. We need a place to regroup. Diana could feel her chest tightening, every beat of her heart drumming urgency through her veins. Then it hit her, the figure that had vanished. They were after something I'm hiding. What if the stranger's gaze snapped to her, as if suddenly realizing the truth behind her fear? "What do you mean?" I think they want my children." The thought exploded in her mind, a cold dread washing over her like ice. They might come for them next. No, Diana, he said, his voice urgent. We'll figure this out together. We have to get to safety first. Suddenly, the shadows lunged for them with a ferocity that made the air explode with tension. Drive towards the mountains, she gasped, eyes wide with determination. The headlights pierced the darkness towards an impending doom, but she felt an unyielding resolve to face it. Mountains? He hesitated. Yes, there are caves. We can hide there until first light, she urged, voice tightening with urgency. It's our only hope. No longer questioning, he swung the car around, taking a sharp turn fraught with fear. The tires screamed against the asphalt, but she felt her heart steadied by a wave of hope as they barreled down the road. Shadows whispered and coiled like snakes, ready to attack. Hurry, Diana urged, eyes flicking nervously to the trees looming at their periphery. They reached the foot of the mountains where jagged rocks framed the road. There, she shouted, pointing to an opening nestled among the boulders. The cave. He steered the car towards it, tires crunching over gravel as they screeched to a halt. Get out. He was already moving, throwing himself from the driver's seat. Inside now. Diana leaped out, adrenaline pushing her forward as shadows writhed closer, swirling like a tornado of darkness. They dove into the cave, dragging flinty air into their lungs, the shadows just moments away from devouring them whole. Inside, darkness enveloped them, silence wrapping like a shroud, but it felt safer than outside. What now? Diana whispered, heart racing as she strained to catch her breath. First, we need to make sure we can defend ourselves, he said, fingers dancing along the jagged stone, looking for something, anything, a weapon, a chance to fight back. Then in the fat darkness she felt it again, a weight pressing down against her chest, a splintering panic. Maybe we should leave. They could find us here. No, he replied instantly, voice steady. We wait. If they are looking for us, this is the only place that will be off their radar. The shadows brushed against the mouth of the cave, an eerie sensation that made her skin crawl. Diana suppressed a shudder, fear coiling from head to toe. We can't just sit here, she said, heart racing. What if they catch us? His expression hardened, determination in the lines of his face. Then we fight. The tension slipped between them, a solid thread binding their resolve against whatever horrors awaited. There was a flicker of hope pulsing in the darkness, a shared understanding that, together, they could confront the oncoming wave of shadows. Time hung heavy, thick with silence, until the shadows began unraveling around the entrance of the cave, melding into a shape. A figure emerged, cloaked in darkness. Diana felt her heart racing, pounding against her ribs as she faltered. Would this be the end or a chance at redemption? Is it them? She whispered, eyes searching. No, he murmured, gripping her arm tightly. This is only the beginning, hold on tight. As the figure stepped into the dim glow of the moonlight, a familiar face emerged. And though the shadows swirled closer, a sense of belonging and hope surged through the promise that they would face whatever horror lay before them together, side by side. The battle was just beginning. But if nothing else, Diana had discovered a truth worth fighting for. She wouldn't be alone. Now their fate lay in uncovering those dark secrets born from shadows before the darkness claimed them both. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Don't miss out. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Your support is priceless. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear from every single one of you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us embark on the next adventure together.